friends, how are you doing? My name is Lauren and this is Thingalina. Today I'm showing you a really beautiful manicure using a new Maniology plate, and it's a really advanced looking technique, but you can totally do it and I'm going to show you how. So let's get started. So it might look a little intimidating, but you got this. You can totally do this. I'm just gonna show you how to do one nail because otherwise this is gonna be the longest video. So, but you'll get the idea. So here's the things you're gonna need. We're gonna need our usual suspects here: scrapers, stampers. I mean, you're gonna need at least 2 or 3. Acetone, a very small brush, and a makeup sponge or whatever you use for making gradients. I've got Bam White and Straight Up Black. I'm using this trio here: Amber Gleam, Ruby Glow, and Plum Perfect, my favorite glitters. I've got Doll Dance, Mint, Whimsy, Moonwake, Kraken, and then I've used this Avocado Bravado as the base. This is not as important. You got to have something down there to lay your gradient on. You could also use Mint, whatever lightest color you're using for your gradient. And then I've got sort of a dark green here. This happens to be Maybeline Tropic Talks and Poparazzi Prime of Lime. But basically I've got sort of a yellowy green and then a darker green. So that's what we're looking for. Of course, the plate I'm using today is Maniology M582, which is called Elysian Escape, and it is really awesome. I swear they make this stuff just for me. But yeah, let's do this together. It's gonna be awesome. So this is the gradient I'm gonna be using. We're gonna be going top down, Moonwake, Whimsy, Mint. See here? I've got kind of a longer nail here, so I'm gonna make sure I pull my colors down a little further and make sure you're overlapping them. Not a ton, but just enough. Let that kind of soak in there. If I have a little like wet spot, I can just pick that up and so it won't be so globby. Since I use stamping polish, it's really opaque, and I'm just gonna do one coat of that. That looks fine to me. I'm not gonna be using these colors anymore, so I'm putting them aside. And we'll save Mint for later. I'm using Bam White. Just gonna make sure my stampers are clean by putting them on this lint roller here, or whatever you find the most convenient. I'm gonna pick this image right here. Make sure I've got full coverage on that. Make sure it fits here. This nail's a little bigger just because I'm using it for the demonstration, but that's okay. I'm just gonna have to pull the colors down a little further, but we'll get to that later. So I'm gonna use Mint and Doll Dance to color in some of these columns here. And then I'm using one of my stampers as a palette. You can use whatever you like. So I'm going to use this Doll Dance here, and I'm coloring in the foreground columns. The reason why I am so slow at reverse stamping, the reason why I just am dabbing it like every half a second, is I just don't want to get blobs of polish and have it too thick for 2 reasons. One, that I don't want it to be like 3-dimensional, you know, and have just like clumps of polish. And also I just don't want to risk overflow. So yeah, I act really fastidious when I'm doing this reverse stamping, but that's kind of my thinking. I don't want to flood the brush and flood the image if possible. So I'm just going to add a little more blue up here. I'm kind of alternating my colors a little bit. I don't really, like I want to have a blue and then a green and then a blue and a green. And I'm also going to do some white, but let me just add this blue first. I've got another sort of architectural thing here. Switch over to mint. Maybe a little more down here. Now I'm taking my white again. And this is going to feel weird, but you just go ahead and color in the rest of your columns white, or you could do the columns totally white. It's up to you. I like to just give it a little bit of color variation there. Very subtle. Perhaps like the leaves reflecting off of the white columns. Extend that column. So I think that's everything. Let's do some roses. That'll be fun. Using Amber Gleam and Ruby Glow. I'm gonna put these side by side. And then I think I'll start off with just doing a few highlights on some of these roses. I'm going to keep them all on the same side. I'm not being like really super careful about staying inside the petals or anything like that. And you'll see why. All right, is that everybody? I think so. So now I'm just gonna get the red here and do the other side of the roses. And I've got some buds, which I think buds in real life are green, but I want them to be red. This is my garden and I'll do as I darn please. Okay, I think that's all of them. I'm just gonna mix some together a little bit and color in the rest. I thought I was going to do the grapes on that one, so I was using this Plum Perfect for the grapes, but there aren't any in this particular image. So if you do the grapes, I really like this one. I'm taking my yellowy green. Oh my gosh, it's so squeaky. And again, I'm just going to do some of these leaves, not all of them. Mostly the ones in the foreground though, with this light color. Moving on to my kind of forest green, I guess. It's sort of a blue green. It's not hunter green, is it? I don't know all my colors as much as I should, huh? That's one thing that's really fun about nail polish, is they all have really fun names. Let's bring back mint. And I might even mix this just a little bit for some extra texture. I'm going to leave some gaps there. Looks like maybe there's one kind of bushy thing back here. Okay, we're going to need a sticky base for this, for sure. When it takes a long time to reverse stamp, it's all going to be super dry, and then of course your base is going to be really dry as well. So we need to get that to be sticky again. If for some reason you don't have sticky base, or if you run out or whatever, you can use the smudge free. Just let it dry Not all the way, just let it dry until it's kind of tacky. There's a fine line though, so just keep an eye on it, and then you can kind of use the tackiness to stamp down, but it's a little bit more of a delicate operation, but you can totally do it without the sticky base if that's just where you're at. Oh, you know what? There's some bushy things up here that I didn't really notice, so let's fix that real quick. Okay, it's about dry. So I'm going to position this wherever it looks good. I really like this part where you like kind of take off the excess of the decal. I don't know why that's kind of satisfying to me, especially when it's dry and it's like kind of crunchy. You know what I mean? Okay. Cleaning my plate. Clean Plate Club. And I'm using black. And here's where the magic happens. I'm lining this up. I like to, if I'm working on a tip like this, I like to brace it on my thumb here, and that way I can kind of keep track of where the middle is. And also, I just got a really good grip on this thing. It's not going anywhere. It's not slipping or nothing. So this is the part I need to be a little careful of, but it helps to know that this isn't going anywhere. Stamp right on top of that. And because this has a little, you know, that space down there, I'm just gonna get some of the extra outline there because you can't really tell what that is anyway. Just some other architectural element, right? Or a vine. There we go. And now we need some smudge free, of course. And there you go. Isn't that fun? So now I've got these beautiful white highlights in the background. It's just a really nice effect. It gives it so much depth. And you can also afford to be kind of messy with your reverse stamping because you can tell how those double lines are really doing a lot of work to keep the color isolated. So Thingolina is modeling the manicure that I did earlier, but this is the exact same method that I just showed you. So you can make this exact same manicure, and now you know how. So that's it for today. Easy peasy, right? If you want this plate, you can get 10% off on the Maniology website, or this or anything really, with the code ZEN10. Just plug that in at checkout. You know the drill. That helps me out. I appreciate it. You know what else helps me out? Liking this video if you liked it, and subscribing if you have not already. That's it. That's all I have for you today, my friends. And until next time, bye!
How are you petting him and he just doesn't give a shit?
Nope.